Hello Victoria, I'm Sean Brennan, I'm leader of the London Borough of Sutton, and I'm very pleased to be here.
Welcome to the Sustainable Communities Conference. As a key player in delivering a sustainable community, tell us what you think the role of local government and indeed council leaders should have when it comes to the big society.
I mean, one of the key areas here is involvement with your local community. It's actually engagement with your local community and the drive to devolve power down to the lowest level locally. And that gives local communities and local groups the opportunity to shape their local area and become involved and to influence decisions about where they live, the quality of life that they're experiencing. And it also gives them an opportunity to get involved and committed and contribute to their local community and their local society. I think that's very, very important. One of the other aspects, of course, is it has a bigger role than that. It has a more strategic role as well. And part of what local authorities should be doing is encouraging partnership working. Partnership with the communities, with individuals, but partners with all the big players at the local authority, whether it's health, the police, the voluntary sector, the business sector. And individual partnerships as well, facilitating, encouraging and making sure that they actually happen. Of course, with that comes responsibilities as well, and I think part of the responsibility of the local authority is looking after those who can't look after themselves. The disadvantaged, those that haven't got a really good start in life and need support and need protection, whether it's disabilities or they have disadvantages, and I think we do have a responsibility to protect those and support those and make sure that we're actually engaging with them and that they're getting the services that they actually need and deserve. Part of the other dimension of this, which is obviously the big society as well, I mean all this can be wrapped up in terms of local involvement and commitment and what society is about, is open government. It's open, accessible, and making it transparent, the decisions that are being made that are open to the public, and that the public can actually comment, scrutinise, question, and they do, and they like doing that. And I think they should. They have a right to actually do that. But it's providing those opportunities and that access and that freedom. And now with technology, ensuring that with technology that we are open and we are accessible and as I say, encouraging people to actually do that as well. There's always a minority who will and always have. But it is getting the wider section of the community and all sections of the community to see that they have a role and to hold the local authority to account. And I think that's one of the great responsibilities of a local authority, in the fact that delivering services, because that's what local authorities are for, what central government are for, to deliver services to the local people as they want them delivered, but also to be held accountable. I think this is the way to do that. And I think if we look at what's happening today at this conference, it's also ensuring that good practice, learning from others, and if we're doing good things ourselves, that we're prepared to share that with others.
On that, can you give us a specific example of something that's happened in your area that is an illustration of a sustainable community under the umbrella of the big society?
What I'm going to talk about this afternoon is Hackbridge, the sustainable suburb. And here is a very, very good example of what the big society is all about. It's about people making decisions about themselves. Over 4 years ago, 2006, a group of people came to us from the Hackbridge area in the borough, and that is where BedZ, I don't know, this is where the BedZ community actually live. But it's also one of our more deprived areas in the borough, underdeveloped. And they came to the council and said, look, we want our area developed, and it's run down. There are areas where it needs investment, it needs development, and we have a vision for our local area, which is very much based on what happened at BedZ, and what we learned about BedZ, which is zero carbon emission. It's about lowering the carbon consumption and our ecological footprint. And they said, we'd really like this to happen in Hackbridge. When you're developing it, please make it a sustainable borough. And from that germ, they came to us, and we've got a master plan, and I'll be talking more about that this afternoon. There's been investment already, there's been retrofitting, there's been carbon reduction, we've had investment from the Mayor of London, and we have quite an exciting plan. But all the way through, the community have been involved.
They're happy?
Well, they're very happy.
Yeah.
And we've ensured that they have been right from the start. There's a community forum, and that meets regularly, and it's connected to our local committee. And of course, they are very, very involved about planning and what they want to see and the future development of that, and the volunteering as well. I would say on average, the response has been, for the various aspects of that, something between 85 to 90% satisfaction level at the plans that we have for the development of Hackbridge.
Quite a lot of people who are still not clear about what the big society is see barriers, sometimes really legitimate, reservations about what this means and how it's going to be delivered and how do you do it without, with the backdrop of these difficult economic times. What are the barriers that you've had to overcome in your borough?
One, I would, for a certain section, there's a bit of scepticism. You're quite right. What's it all about, and is it anything new? Aren't we doing it already anyway? It's just volunteering, isn't it? That's one aspect of the volunteering, but it's much wider than that. It is about society, and it's about playing a part in society, and it's about recognising that you have a part to play in society, and it is about there's so many different aspects of this. It's about being a good neighbour, it's about volunteering, it's about using what talents you have, what energies you have, it's looking out for other people, it's contributing to the quality of life, all of that I've said before. But some of those barriers are a bit of red tape, bureaucracy, sometimes it's regulation, and we're good at regulation, both at national and local level, and sometimes it's actually the law, which legislation itself, first major legislation. So those are some of the barriers. And is trying to get over those. And we're working very closely with government to actually identify what those are, whether it's in the planning or whether it's transport, and actually can government help, because it is a pilot, can they remove those, and if they remove them, would it make that involvement easier? I suppose the big one really is the economic situation we find ourselves in at the moment. Money is scarce, grants to local councils are scarce. Does that mean that the big society will have to come to a stop? Great idea, no money to do anything, that's it, thank you very much. Let's wait until times are better.
Although some people think the big society is plugging the gap where the government is withdrawing the state.
I don't think it's quite as crude and simple as that. But
some people do think that.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
And I think there is an element of that. I think what we have to do in the present context is to be smarter about it, to be more creative, to be more innovative, and to work together with our communities, to work together with our local residents, and say, what are the problems, what are the things that you want to see, how can we work together in partnership to get over those particularly? And part of that will be, I'm a great believer in less small central government. We've had too much interference for a long, long time from central government. They're always poking about. They're always, legislation that is intrusive, and at times some of it has been quite. It has limited our freedoms in many, many ways. And what I want to see is less central government and more of local people taking on their own responsibility. And I think it's not all about money. But money does help. And I think part of the big society, the question that's come to me a number of times is, look, we need help to start up. We need a bit of infrastructure. We need some priming here to get things going. And I think central government can't expect all of this to happen on the back of nothing. And that's why I think they've come up with the idea of the big society bank. We don't know the details of that yet, or how to access it, or what will be available. But I do feel, and particularly our third sector, our voluntary sector, people to actually prepare them for their part, and the fact that we'll be commissioning many more services from them now locally, and have the capacity to do that, building in that capacity, and that will take some resources to do that, whatever those resources are. And I think those are some of the barriers that are there. But I'm an optimist. I think that in this particular time it'll bring out the best in us. I don't want to hark back to the spirit of the last war or anything like that. I think that's too much through rose-tinted glasses. But it is more about, you know, coming up to the mark, and let's help each other, and getting away from the me, being self-centred kind of society, to actually say, well, you know, there is a society, contrary to what some people said, and let's make that the best society that we can.
A couple of quick final thoughts. Do you think the government should do more to encourage and incentivise local people to move to a low-carbon economy, a low-carbon world?
That's an interesting question. I think that there are quite a number of things already in place, whether it's the carbon code or the targets that they've set, 80% by 2050. I get mixed up in some of those.
34% by 2020.
2020. So we have very demanding targets, and I think, you know, that is quite demanding. And, you know, there's other legislation in place. And I think what it is, we shouldn't always be looking to government to do it. It really is about, what I was saying about the Hack Bridge, it is about people saying, they are there, how can I help? What contribution can I make? What is my responsibility? How can I get involved? So I think it's a two-way thing, and I'm not always looking for legislation. Of course, sensible legislation will always help, but in this case it's not that we're lacking, it's just the fact that we have to respond in that way to challenging targets that are already there.
And for people watching, the secret to your success at Sutton, you would say what?
I would say working with community, engaging with our community, giving them the opportunity. We have devolved power down to them. We have 6 local committees which involve our local people. We have given them, devolved a capital budget over the last 3 years, so they make decisions about how that's spent in their own particular area. It's around 3 wards. We've got 18 wards altogether. I think that's part of it. It's our partnership working, which is very, very strong. We're not unique in that, but there's a long tradition of that. It's our volunteers, and it's our shared vision. It's our shared vision with our residents. It's our shared vision with our main strategic partners. And
those people have, sorry to interrupt, but those people have found the time to be on those committees because they want to find the time, because it's where they live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they have that opportunity. I mean, it's, you know, not all of the people all of the time. It depends on what it is, what the project is, and you can't expect a mum and dad who are actually with children who are working full time to be able to give hours to this. It depends on what you can offer and where you can offer it. And I think that's you know, you can't criticise them for that, but what you do, you encourage them. If they have the time, there are the opportunities are there, and they are encouraged to do so. And I think one of the things that I think has been very helpful to us as a local authority is that since '86 we have run a Maury poll every 2 years, an extensive Maury poll, and that questionnaire is, and the answers to those questions that are set have given us the priorities of what our residents have. And they haven't changed greatly. There's been some change. But that is a way of keeping in touch throughout the borough in terms of what are the issues that our residents want us to tackle and what we tackle together and where our resources should actually be targeted and directed. And I think, and we'll continue with that, and I think that's a very helpful way of keeping in contact with the real wishes of the people. And we have our So we're all working together to achieve the same end.
Okay.
I think all that helps.
Councillor Brennan, thank you very much.
My pleasure.